All right, just beginning. My feedback on this part of creating the Express app, I feel pretty comfortable with this in general, and so we'll see how the video goes. Okay, actually, I think I'm comfortable with this, but then I watched you go through it and I was like, oh wait, actually I think that's more steps than what I was thinking. So now what I'm looking for is like a list that I can go back to. I'm like, what was there a week that was on or what? But I'm going to try to make a list from what I'm watching here. So why did you type 11 there? Is that what that is? I don't know what that is. Okay, that was a shorter list than I thought. Just npm get to the right directory and then npm init. Okay, it looked like there was more to it, but okay. Okay, just stating this because it's like, I kind of know this, but like when I click that npm install express or whatever, like it downloads all these folders and files. Like that is a ton of stuff. Goodness. Okay, I'm completely confused about the git ignore. I'm going to rewatch this. A git ignore will say the things that you don't want in your git repository. I'm not sure I've followed this yet. I think it had something to do with what you said before about other people don't want to, if they use your app, don't need to download the files or something, but I'm not sure. I'm just watching it again. Okay, I think that you're saying that you said because everybody else on your team will have access to the node modules. So you said you didn't want to push it to Git, but I think you mean like GitHub, right? Because that's where your team members would access it from. They're not going to access it from your computer anyway. So, so you're just saying kind of like you don't need to push that out to GitHub because they already have it on their computers, and so that's just unnecessary bloat on your GitHub repository. I think that's what you mean. You aren't saying GitHub repository, you're saying Git repository, so I'm not sure if I'm right. Okay, so git ignore should be a directory above, or not a directory, but it should not be inside the node modules folder. It needs to be outside of that. Okay, this is just a commentary, but you're using const. This is the first class I've seen use const. I think it's the same thing as var. I have a vague idea that it's better than var, but I'm not sure why. So just throwing that out there. So you just started with this process.env.port. Like, where did you get that information? Like, is that something I'm just like supposed to know? I assume that's like part of Express somewhere, but like, where did that come from? Okay, I'm just pausing this right now because you're like made a port at Heroku on line 3 because eventually, well, you didn't make it at Heroku, but eventually you're going to use it in Heroku. So that's why you did line 3. But if you weren't going to do it at Heroku, I got the idea you didn't need line 3 and you could just do line 8. But because you're going to use it at Heroku, you made line 3, and now you're taking that const, not a variable. You have both of them in here. I'm not sure why that you're using one in one situation and not the other because I don't understand that. But, and now you've put port in the app listen, and then you've put the function because I think I've gathered there's this whole request response pattern whenever you use this, like, you know, app.listen or app.get. And so like you always have to have two things in those parentheses, and the latter one usually seems to be a function. So just talking out loud through my thought process, I'm like, okay, so the first one is usually request, which would be your port, but I'm like, wait, what's doing the requesting? And then you have the response, which is the function, which will do the thing. But like request, oh gosh. Like, does that mean like the app is requesting the port number? Is that what that means? All right, I think that's right. So the port is going to request a port number, and then your response, it's going to output this console log server listening on the port number, whatever that port number. Okay. Okay, hold up. Why? You just made this app listen on port, but then you like clicked down and now you're doing something above that. Like, why are you doing that? Why didn't you do it below? Okay, so you just did another thing here, express.static. I'm assuming that came from some kind of like default express code that we're supposed to know. But like, where did that come from? Like, where would I find that or look that up? I'm also gathering here that we have got a pattern going on, and it would be super helpful to like write this pattern in a list at some point. So that is in my mind, like, okay, anyway, we have a repeatable pattern here, and I would like that to be placed somewhere so that I can like be independent and be able to repeat this on my own. Okay, whoa, the whole dir name thing. I think I got it, but like that was a lot coming at me right there. And how would I know this? Like, how would I know this without it just like being spelled out to me? Like, how would I even know, like, hey, let me look that up. There's a way to do this thing. Or how do I know to put like a file name there? Like, other than just being told here. And I'm kind of asking because I figure there are other things coming that I'm going to need to know that maybe I'm not told. Like, I don't even know that exists, that there's a possibility to do certain things. So I'm kind of like, how do I find this stuff? Sorry, I'm still just kind of like stuck on this dir name and making sure I understand it before I proceed. So this express static is some kind of function out in express that's going to mean, basically I think this line is saying like, look at the root folder, and we're going to, and identifying what we're calling the root folder, sort of. That's where my context is. And so this path.join is just telling it what to do with the underscore dir name, which you said const path, and you required this path function, which from what you said, what I understand is that because we're using this name public, then the code is going to go look in my file structure and figure out what the file path is before the word public, before the folder that's public, and it's going to use that as the file path so that I don't have to specify it, that this function is going to figure out what that file path is. Hope that's right. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking this is happening here. All right, watching you do that command line touch dot, the file name, that's pretty cool. I'm going to have to do that. I haven't done that before. Okay, it's slowly sinking into me. I know we've done this before, but repetition is good. So static, like HTML files go in the public folder. This is kind of like a rule. I mean, I know it doesn't have to be called the public folder, but in our situation, what we have on line 9, that's where whatever we have identified on line 9 as the static folder, that's where HTML files go. Ah, interesting. So I have seen the whole, get problem where it says there's nothing to get or whatever it said. But that was interesting that you could write scriptures.html right there because that was in your public directory. I did not know that. So, interesting. I have to think about that for a few minutes. So if it's in the public HTML file, you don't have to have one of those get rules. Is that what I'm hearing? I have not understood that prior to this, so That just makes so much more sense. That wow, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit mind blown at the moment with just understanding this, because I've been a little confused, like, what the heck, you have to write a rule for every single like folder, and I know that you're like, no, you don't have to do that, but I didn't get it was like this whole static public file means that you can simply type that in the URL, like any normal website where you would just type that in the URL, that's where that functionality resides. Like, aha, okay, that's a good thing to realize. I was under the impression that you had to have that like slash whatever just to show anything, and like with the get rule. So this is just really helpful. I know I keep repeating myself, but yeah, I got to think through this I just got to keep letting this one sink in. So great, thank you.